Good to see you again. We finally made it to Valencia. This time, I promise. In the last episode, I said about finally pushing into Valencia by achieving level 58. After realizing that Valencia is even harder than I thought, I focused on gearing up by farming helms for resources and leveling alts for additional night vendor roles. I managed to obtain both Muskin's boots and a Gaiath helmet, and immediately failed to enhance them. Today, we finally reached the desert. For real this time. Though my grind speeds were slow, I was very set on actually achieving this goal as soon as possible. With this in mind, I decided to go back to farming Fogans for some Syrups necklaces. I believe that I should be able to grind all the way up to Histria with a duo Syrups necklace. I have a very strong track record of being utterly incorrect about the balancing of this game in 2017, but based on some posts from the time, I should be able to grind there at around 200 AP. Not efficiently, but I should be able to at least get a Tungrad necklace to mark it off the list. With that in mind, I believe I can reach that with tri-boss armors and weapons and duo gold quality accessories, as well as Witch's earrings because I hate grinding Hex Sanctuary. Now back to Fogan's grinding. The grinding is still quite slow. It's certainly far from what I had expected when I originally came out here. I do have one point of information that gives me a very small glimmer of hope that this grinding will actually get better though. After looking through some old clips of the Lazy Peon playing Black Desert Online while in search of a different clip, I found one of him farming Fogans with a Tech Kutum and 208 AP. With this gear, Lazy Peon could one-shot most mobs while fully buffed. Now, that's a really long way away from where I sit right now, but it does give me hope that one day I can actually grind this place efficiently. With that hope in mind, I continued to grind and eventually did get a Syrups necklace. Seeing as I already have a Syrups necklace equipped, what better use for it than to tap for Pry? With a little bit of luck, this enhancement did actually succeed, giving me an extra 5 AP over my duo Scarlet necklace. With this new upgrade, I was feeling a little more confident, and after a little more helms grinding, which will be a staple of this entire series I can tell, I went to pay Crescents another visit. Believe it or not, with even lower DP thanks to replacing my Scarlet necklace with the Syrups necklace, I died even more than I did before. Despite this, I decided to stick it out and continue grinding. After only 40 minutes of dying and breaking crystals, I did manage to get a single crescent ring. That's one more goal marked off the list. While it gives me 2,000 more pearls, this one crescent ring doesn't really do anything for me until I can make at least a Pry ring. I've died so much at crescents that half of the people that I interact with ask me if I'm still dying to crescents when they come to say hi. That's not really what I wanted my legacy to be. You can roll a full set of boss gear off the night vendor in only a couple months, but you die to crescents a few times and you're that guy who dies to crescents. I was a little tired of dying, and after getting my first ring, I left to work on one of my other goals, a tier 8 horse. I have been tapping horses together for a long time, and I cannot for the life of me get anything better than a tier 7. I've been trying to figure out which viewer in my chat has the most luck and who works best together, so I have been naming my horses after viewers and breeding them together. From this, I've learned that the Germans are not great at reproducing. I figured they make good cars, so they surely must make good horses. I was wrong, they only made tier 6 horses. I learned that a viewer named Gunner, who is traditionally lucky and even got me 2 pen life clothes in modern BDO after the Calpheon Ball, the luck is real I swear, I'm not superstitious, cannot make a horse to save his life. He has made a tier 6 horse without fail every time and is now banned from ever being my trusty steed. I know tier 8 horses were rare back in the day, but this is a little ridiculous. I've reached artisan training and have made at least 150 million silver off of horse training, and I still cannot get a tier 8. If I didn't have horse levels turned up to ludicrous speed, I would be spending hundreds if not thousands of hours training horses to never see a tier 8. It's so bad that I had to pause while writing the script to make sure that tier 8 horses did in fact exist during the Valencia expansion. Turns out they do. Due to the fact that I can train horses so quickly, it also means that this is without a doubt one of the best silver per hour grinds that I can do. I have made efforts to minimize this by banning myself from ever selling tier 7 horses, as a single horse can be worth 20 to 40 million silver, and even with that rule, I am still getting too much silver. I may have to delete 50 to 100 million silver at some point to get me back on track. Getting tired of grinding Fogans and Crescents, I decided it was time to knock off another item on the list of goals, the Cadry ring. I remember grinding Cadrys when I was around 140 AP, and surely not much higher than 200 DP back in the day. It was actually one of the first grind spots that I went to when I first entered Valencia, because for whatever reason I was afraid of grinding out in the actual desert. Having vivid memories of grinding Cadrys at 140 AP, I know for certain that I will have no problem whatsoever farming them for a Cadry ring. Except I was yet again wrong. These guys hurt pretty bad. I remembered that they were pretty tanky. They've always taken far longer to kill than Nagas, Fogans, or Bashims, but that was primarily because some of the mobs actually have a block. These guys are both tanky and deal a lot of damage in this current patch. On the plus side, these mobs do drop pity pieces for the ring, which is a system that I completely forgot about until now. Cadrys can drop 3 different pieces, which can then be combined to either make the next tier of piece, or one of each tier to make the ring. The blue ring piece is the most common drop. By combining 9 of these in a plus sign, they make 1 ruby ornament. By placing 5 ruby ornaments in a row, you can make 1 obsidian ornament. And then finally, by putting 1 obsidian ornament, 1 ruby ornament, and 1 blue ring, you can craft a full Cadry ring. While the Cadrys really did hurt, it wasn't too long before I managed to get myself 1 of each pity piece and craft myself a ring. At the time, I marked the challenge complete, happy to have finished 1 more goal. But upon looking back at the list of goals, I have realized that I said loot a Cadry ring, not craft a Cadry ring. So with that being the case, I will have to come back here again. That won't be today though. To date the video a little bit and show you how long this has taken me to make, it was at this point that the Calpheon Ball was coming up and I was feeling very left out when it came to rewards. I watched the Calpheon Ball live and stayed up way too late. Honestly, I wasn't very excited about much of what was talked about, and left the ball a lot more disappointed than I went in. Are we a fantasy game anymore? Like, I just want to ask. Like, we have microphones now? I did end up tapping both a pen gatherer's cloth and a pen cook's cloth off of the free crons though, so that was cool. Anyway, back to Classic, I was feeling left out with the lack of rewards, and since login rewards don't work, and neither do events, I decided to give myself a little gift to do some gambling on the Classic server. You see, back in 2017, we didn't get near as many opportunities to gamble as we do today, aside from obviously enhancing. In fact, it was rare to even have events back to back, which I know might sound crazy with modern BDO.
What the hell is even that?
Where it's rare to not have at least one event going on during any given week. One gambit box that we did have back in the day though was the Lauren box, which took me a long time to find because I could have sworn that it was the Lara box. But either way, this box could give anything from 1 whole memory fragment, to accessories, to boss gears, to even a resplendent alchemy stone of destruction. That was never going to happen though, obviously. I've never heard of a single person getting one of those. Usually it was a memory fragment or a hard or sharp. I decided to spawn in 2 of these Lauren boxes with the ball and open them up. As expected, I got basically nothing. Well, there's my excitement for the year gone. After this, I decided that my suffering just hasn't been enough, and to make my day even better, I should go back to crescents. Surprisingly, this was actually a good idea. I managed to get 2 crescent rings and not die too many times. Since it's been so long and my note-taking wasn't that great, I don't actually remember how long this took. I will be better about that in the future though, I promise. With 2 crescent rings ready to tap, I need some enhancement materials so that I can build fail stacks. Back to Helms I go, which is probably no surprise to you. Like I've said, Helms is going to be quite the staple of this series. Its high drop rate for books and scarlet necklaces just can't be beat. While grinding at Helms, doing my usual rotation around the entire area killing stone golems, it was finally time to roll the Night Vendor. I should have warned you for a flashbang, but there you go, went from dark to bright. Alright, 15 rolls. I do need to level another character to 50 so that way I can get some more rolls. What I'm hoping for is either a Kutum or a Dandelion. A Zarka would be okay, but I definitely far prefer a Kutum or a Dandelion. 130 is 209, I see. It sounds so much faster when you put it in kilometers per hour, just because number big. Alright, let's see what we get here. 1, 2, 3, hard, I'm not going to buy it. 4, 5, 6, I will buy that. 7, that's actually, wait, I did not expect, of all the things that I need, it rolled a Kutum dagger. Out of every single thing. That is insane. Okay. Alright. We're so set. That's insane. I don't even remember what roll I was on. I think 7? 8? We'll start with 9. We'll go to... Yes, I'm definitely buying that. That is absolutely insane. If you call me carried and undeserving of my success, you might be right. The fact that I have gotten at least 1 boss piece of gear every single episode is absolutely ridiculous. The weapons are especially difficult to get because I need a specific roll and they have lower odds than the armor of rolling. The fact that this Kutum was even a dagger is extremely lucky. I immediately stopped my grinding and ran to Velia to start tapping the Kutum as per usual, and actually had pretty good luck with getting the dagger all the way up to duo before running out of sharps. Okay. Easy. Nice. Plus 14, easy one tap. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, there's a chance. Takes too long to do all these. Alright. 19, 20. There we go. Alright. Plus 15. Alright. Easy pry. Maddie will bless you. Oh my goodness. It's going. Okay, it's not going. There we go. Okay. It took a while. It took a while, but it's pry. So I'll get my duo here. I'm facing the wrong way, which maybe is bad luck. I don't know. But easy duo, and then we can try it, see if it's better than my other stuff. I guess I should do this real quick. There we go. Okay, so the crows are, in fact, guaranteed to enhance your gear. Even being duo, this dagger should do some serious work. Back in 2017, the hidden stats on gear wasn't shown, so the dagger does not say how much monster damage it actually has. But today, we all know that it's quite a bit. To test the damage, I figured I should go hit something to see how the damage compares to the Tri-Steel dagger. And what better place than the battle arena? The arena has been updated many times throughout the year, but I could have sworn that even in its earliest days, it still had some wooden training dummies. Turns out, I was wrong though. This version of the battle arena is currently taken over by imps. This would have been a nightmare to duel in back in the day, and I find it really weird that the devs would have ever put these mobs here, so I'm assuming that this is an issue with the server and not how it actually worked back then. Though these kobolds aren't training dummies, that doesn't mean that they can't serve the same function. While testing the damage of the dagger, it was very unimpressive. Changing to the Kutum dagger reduced my damage by an entire 10% on the auto attack. While I was already certain that something wasn't working correctly, my chat wasn't as convinced, so we decided to do some experimenting. Append Kutum versus Nuver versus Ultimate Steel versus Ultimate Rozar. These were all spawned in just to test and immediately destroyed afterwards. Because I am very scientific and smart, I tested the damage in multiple ways. One with no armor on, a base militia staff and just the daggers, and one with as little gear as possible but balanced AP. Since the Kutum has less AP than the Nuver, I put on accessories to match the AP. After these tests, we had conclusive proof that the Kutum dagger had diddly squat hiding in the background. Definitely no monster AP to be found. This was very disappointing. While the Kutum dagger had DP and a fair amount of AP, that does not make it compete whatsoever with the Nuver dagger without the monster AP applied to it. Those of you who played back in the day probably remember that the Nuver dagger was basically the PvP dagger, and the Kutum dagger was pretty much the PvE dagger. In this current scenario, the Nuver dagger outperforms the Kutum in 90% of situations. This realization that hidden monster AP is broken nearly broke me. I've been struggling to kill most Valencia monsters this entire time, and all of my hope was banked on the Kutum dagger giving monster AP. We're gonna gather for a bit. We're gonna have a chill little gather while I think about the future of this run with everything being broken. I still want to do it. I still want to push it as far as I can, or at least push it to the goals that I had. But man, I was really banking on that Kutum carrying me. I ended the stream with some gathering as I hopelessly contemplated the future of the journey. I could, of course, spawn in stronger weapons to compensate for the bugged weapon damage, but that just doesn't feel right. Determined not to be broken by this, though, I put my hacker shades on and got to work scouring through the server's database, which, by the way, is in Korean. I'm not allowed to read anything in this game, am I? German game, Korean database. I may as well just set my computer's language to Russian at this point, that way I really cannot understand a single thing. Well, after digging through those tables, I finally found the Kutum dagger. Here are the item tables, by the way. You've got longsword, blunt, two-hand sword, bow, and dagger. I assume these are the different weapon types of early game development. Want to take a guess as to what table the dagger is in? Yep, you guessed it, the longsword table. Fortunately, the item ID of any given item is in the index of the table. So by searching the item ID in that column, I was able to find all of the enhancement levels of the Kutum dagger from base all the way up to pen, or as it is in this table, 0 to 20. By the way, just to add to the pain a little bit, here's how many Kutum daggers there are on BDO Codex, which is the website that I use to find all of the item IDs. Every reform level of the free pen Kutum is there, as well as the season version, and the normal one. Fortunately, I can just choose use the one with the lowest ID, but it still isn't very fun to sift through them all. Anyway, back to the database. Upon searching up the Kutum dagger in the longsword table, I scrolled through its properties and found exactly what I was looking for. Hidden Monster DDD. I can't remember what the DDD stands for specifically anymore, but DDD, RDD, and MDD are basically physical damage, range damage, and magic damage. As expected, the Hidden Monster DDD column was completely empty. Zeros across the entire board. Since the numbers that we have on today's Kutum do not reflect the original values, I could not just throw the numbers in from the live servers into this table. It can never just be that easy. I had to find an old post listing the Kutum's hidden stats from when the Korean servers first unveiled said stats. It turns out that Kazarka and Laverto also get additional damage to all species, so I will be updating those too. After updating the hidden monster damage on all relevant weapons, I saved the changes and excitedly launched the server and game again. Except, the damage was the same. Well, that's no good. Going back into the table, I decided that I should just go update the actual added damage across the board. This fortunately does not change the sheet stats and only changes the damage behind the scenes. This might be because the client doesn't know that the numbers have been updated, but whatever, we'll just run it. After updating the damage directly to each weapon, the damage now reflects the correct values. The damage did not increase as much as I had originally hoped when switching from Tri-Steel to a Tri-Kutum, but at least I know that the damage is mostly correct now. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that while I was gathering, I got a Sharp and one-tap the Kutum to try. I might be a little bit carried. Since I was already digging through the database, I figured I would see if I could get anything else working. With Christmas coming up, which, yes, I realize we're way past now, I wanted to get the old 2016 Christmas event working. I was able to find the event table and the dates that the events ran for, so I figured it would be easy to just adjust the event dates and make the event start. I edited all event times to reflect current year, and logged in excited to see the Christmas changes. Except, nothing happened. I realized that when I opened my log in the game, it said that it was February of 2016. Maybe that's what the server thinks the date is. Nope, that didn't work. Well, the leader of Heidel seems to think that it's December of 2017, so let's try that. Nope, that didn't work either. I tried running the event for the entirety of December 2015 until January of 2030, but that also had no effect. Clearly, I'm missing something here. I have since been informed that both the client and the server have to believe that it's Christmas, so the best way for me to force the event would have been to set my computer's clock to December of 2016. It's too late for that now, though. Oh well. While I was digging through the events, though, I did get the daily login rewards working, and I activated the daily login rewards for December of 2016. You can see what the old UI looked like here. Back in the day, you had to claim each day manually, and it would put the items directly into your inventory, as we had no Black Spirit storage back then. Since it was December, the rewards were pretty good. An ultimate weapon and armor stone, 2 accessory boxes that give yellow grade accessories, Lauren boxes, and even some teas that will help me a ton when I'm grinding. There's still a far cry from some of the rewards that we get today though. My login cron reward is 5 as opposed to your guys' 5,000. I also decided to try and get the cooking and alchemy time reduction functioning properly to no avail. I spent probably 4 or 5 hours getting familiar with this blinding white screen and found the location for cooking utensil times, the armors and their applied buffs, as well as the food buffs. Despite all of this newfound knowledge, I could not manage to get any change to happen on the game itself. Not even changing the utensil use time could fix this problem. Giving up on that issue entirely, it's time to focus on getting the Muskins and the Gaiath upgraded to try, which means back to Helms as usual. After a bunch of grinding and 15 book scrolls being run, it was time to do the enhancing. I hate you. That would have been another tri-stack. Now it may look bad right now, but the great thing about enhancing in old BDO is there's no such thing as failing at enhancing. The worst thing that can ever happen to you is that you get an upgrade on a stack that was about to become a fail stack for the next tier of gear. Well, that or upgrading a piece of gear that you don't want while building fail stacks, but that never really happens. Anyway, with my tri-stack being so close to a 50 stack, I figured I should throw my tri-Grunel armor in just to build the stack a little bit higher and to make a Tet stack. The Grunel armor, even at tri, is lower DP AP than my red nose armor is at Pry, so there's really no reason to hold on to it. I know that this enhancement will fail because there's no way I'm going to succeed on my first TED attempt, on a very low stack at that. Anyway, let's roll the clip. This is a bad idea. Don't, again, never repeat the things that I do on stream. If we get a BDO Classic, this is being done by a trained professional. Do not do this. I'm just gonna blow up my try. So this would be my backup for when I go for Tet, but it's fine because I'm gonna have a backup red nose armor later anyway. I hate this. Why? It's not even as good as my... I told you not to do the things that I do, but I didn't think that it would fail me this badly. So yeah, that happened. Rest in peace, valuable tri-stack. On the plus side, I can use this Tet Grunal armor to make a Tet stack down the line. At something like a 2% chance of going pen, that definitely won't fail me. Jumping to the next day, I decided to continue my suffering by attempting to make one of my horses a courser. I promised one of my viewers, Niven, that I would level all of his horse skills under the condition that he promised me his horse would get me a tier 8. There's no point in training useless skills like Roar, so I re-rolled these skills until I had all of my courser skills. This is a terrible idea, especially on a tier 7. Rerolling skills can be very expensive and should only be done on a tier 9 or tier 10 horse these days, and back in 2017 should only be done on a tier 8. It took me 18 attempts to get Sprint, and this is after already forcing Drift and Instant Excel. With that done, I started grinding Crescents before being rudely ripped away to do something clearly far more important: grinding Grass Beetles. For those uninitiated, Grass Beetles are the very first mob that you used to fight back in the day. You would spawn in Alvia for a basic tutorial, and after learning combat on a training dummy, you would be tasked to defeat 2 Grass Beetles. For reasons unknown, it became a meme that Grass Beetles were the best grind spot for literally anything in the game. Hey, where should I go for XP at level 52? Well, Grass Beetles, obviously. Guys, guess what? I just got an Ogre Ring from Grass Beetles. No way! I got my Dandelion there just yesterday. It was such a common meme that if I recall correctly, during an April Fool's event, Grass Beetles could drop a blue quality junk item called Pen Ogre Ring. Either that or I got trolled as well. But there definitely was a Pen Ogre Ring from an April Fool's event either way. I even still have the blue grade accessories from that event, though I never did get the Pen Ogre Ring. So about the Grass Beetles, I'm probably one of very few people to actually sit down and grind Grass Beetles for an hour. But it's not that bad. Obviously the XP is non-existent, the silver is equally so, as well as any enhancement drops, but it does drop Silver Azalea, which is the only reason I agreed to do this ridiculous request. After an hour of grinding Grass Beetles, I managed to get my hands on 2,434 trash, worth 267,000 silver, 445 Silver Azalea, and 162 potatoes. Would I do this again? Not willingly. Was this a complete waste of time? Yeah, pretty much. But I can now make myself some pure powder reagent with the Silver Azalea and some beer with the potatoes to wash my sorrows away. Oh, and before grinding Grass Beetles, I was also requested to grind at Sulfur Mine, but I forgot to note that down. I was very worried about what this place might do to me. According to the map, Sulfur Mine is recommended for level 59 and above, and while level doesn't matter that much, the higher level also likely means higher gear expectations. I went in very scared with my 170 AP and 277 DP, ready to get my butt whooped after dying so much to Crescents and even Pirates sometimes. And then they just didn't hurt. Sure, they hit hard every once in a while, but they were a far cry from the pain that I prepared myself for. This is likely a very unpopular opinion, but I love Sulfur Mine. It is one of my most grinded spots when I was going for my Archaeologist map on the live servers, which I started working on in 2018 and finally finished in 2023. And somehow I never got tired of it. My hour at Sulfur Mine was entirely fruitless, dropping not a single Sissel's necklace. And much to my surprise, no map pieces either. Despite that, I actually didn't mind the grind at all, and will likely be coming back here sometime in the future if the Syrups necklaces don't drop for me at Fogans. Back to Velia to enhance as is tradition, I went in with 2 mutually exclusive goals in mind. Get a Tri-Muskin boot, or build a Tet stack, with my preference being on the Tet stack personally because those are very expensive to build. After only a small amount of pain building fail stacks, which is nothing new, I managed to tap my Muskins to duo on an 18 stack. Now for the important enhancement. Try Muskins. Either it goes or it doesn't, and this time I win either way. Funny. I am not liquidating my life skill resources. I am not doing that. I have spent 9 years building those up. Alright, let's see if we can get try. I don't want try, but let's see if we can get try. Please fail. Okay. I genuinely expected it to go try. I'm happy with that. I'm a little disappointed, but I'm still happy with that. That's the good outcome. That's the good outcome. We wanted that to fail. Alright, let's throw that in. Alright, now for the big enhancement. I did not expect to be doing a pen attempt ever on this account. I never thought I would be going for a pen attempt. But first pen attempt of the account. I want it to fail, because I want the fail stack, and then I'll have a tet stack. But this could go, and then I don't know what I will do. I will rage, basically. I will... Alright, let's go. Let's see what happens here. I hate this game. I'll see you next time on BDO Classic.